Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to jump into a really fundamental question in geometry. How do you measure the space inside a shape? We're going to break down the simple but super powerful method for two of the most common shapes you see absolutely everywhere, rectangles and squares.
Okay, so when you look at any flat shape, how do we actually measure the space that's inside it? I mean, you could try to fill it up with a bunch of tiny squares and then count them?
But honestly, who has time for that? Counting squares one by one by one could take forever, right? Luckily, there's a much smarter and faster way. So let's find it.
All right, first things first, let's get on the same page about what area really is. In the simplest terms, it's just the total amount of space inside a 2D shape.
So let's use a rectangle for our first example. Imagine it's sitting on top of a grid, kind of like graph paper. We can see that its length, there along the bottom, is 9 units.
And its width, or you could call it its height, is 4 units. So the two key numbers we're looking at are 9 by 4. Now, here's the cool part. Those two numbers, the 9 and the 4, that's literally all we need. They hold the secret to finding the area without ever having to count all those squares inside. So instead of counting all 36 of those squares one by one, here's the amazing shortcut. You just take the length, you take the width, and you multiply them.
And just like that, bam, 9 multiplied by 4 is 36. It's the exact same number you'd get from counting every single one of those squares. The shortcut works perfectly.
So that's the key takeaway right there. The area of any rectangle you'll ever find is simply its length times its width. A simple formula that's going to save you a whole lot of counting. Okay, so what about a really special type of rectangle? The square. Well, the same logic applies, but believe it or not, the calculation gets even easier.
The one thing that makes a square so special is super simple. While a rectangle's length and width can be different from each other, a square's sides are all exactly the same length.
And because the length and the width are the same number, we only need to know one single measurement, which makes the formula even more straightforward. The formula basically simplifies to this. The area of a square is just its side length multiplied by itself. That's it. Okay, so we've got the formulas. Awesome. But you might be wondering, why does any of this matter in the real world? Well, as it turns out, we use these calculations all the time, often without even realizing it. Understanding area is absolutely essential for all sorts of practical, everyday tasks. Whether you're figuring out how much flooring to buy for a workshop, measuring a room for a new carpet, or even planning out a garden, you are calculating area. Let's look at these practical examples, right? To find the floor space of a workshop that's 15 meters long and 10 meters wide, we just multiply them. 15 times 10 gives us 150 square meters. And what about a square carpet with sides of 4 meters? Easy. 4 times 4 is 16 square meters. See? Simple and incredibly useful. All right, you've seen how it works. You're pretty much an expert now. So to wrap things up, let's try a quick challenge just to put your new knowledge to the test. So here's the challenge for you. If you already know the area of a square is 100 square centimeters, can you work backward to figure out the length of one of its sides? Think about that formula. What number, when you multiply it by itself, gives you 100? And you know, that is the perfect thought to end on. The only way to truly learn concepts like area is to actually use them. So keep practicing and you'll start seeing these calculations everywhere you look. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.